Hello, I'm Tom Wistrcill.
I'm JT Wistrcill.
We'd like to welcome you to another edition of From the Couch. We're talking NFL Week 10. 10 weeks in, JT, another exciting NFL season. And as we typically do, we go back and forth, 5 takeaways from the weekend, fairly rapid fire as we react to what we saw over the weekend and tonight with your Minnesota Vikings. So, JT, you're up first. What do you got?
Let's start in Chicago. How about those Minnesota Vikings getting a much-needed 19-13 win over the Chicago Bears, currently in second place in the NFC North. The Bears are. How about Kirk Cousins? Everyone, 0-9 in Monday Night Football. I don't like the primetime narrative. I thought he smashed that last year when he went down to New Orleans. That's a personal thing, but I thought he was sensational tonight. Wheeling and dealing all over the place. Extremely efficient, 292 yards, hitting all guys open. Justin Jefferson was really good as well. I thought he had 135 receiving yards. I was really impressed by those guys. And if it wasn't for the first half, Kyle Rudolph fumble on the first drive. Adam Thielen had the interception go right through his hands, bounced off his shoulder into Khalil Mack. Bad luck there. How about a Cordero Patterson, the former Viking, 104-yard kick return? Our defense held him to 6 points. I think this should have been a blowout game, but we just left it in a little bit. But impressed by the defensive performance and especially Kirk Cousins as well. I thought he really shined on Monday Night Football.
Good win for the Vikings, although you got to put a team away. Mm-hmm. Nick Foles completes that long bomb at the end for a touchdown, and all of a sudden you lose by 1 on the extra point. So while you could say the first half, if it wasn't for this, it wasn't for this, you got to put a team away. You can't leave it up to, oh God, I hope the Nick Foles, who probably wasn't going to make a play, but was maybe 6 inches from making a play. All of a sudden you're down here talking real differently. So, but credit to the Vikings, they're hot. And I think amazingly they're going to have a chance to make the playoffs when I look at the rest of their schedule.
Still, a glimmer of hope is still shining into the coffin that I buried.
There you go. That's right. Okay, I'm going to talk about the 9-0 Pittsburgh Steelers.
No way.
This was their most complete game against a Bengals team that's been playing pretty good lately, but they took them right out of it quickly. Burrow never looked good the entire game. Steelers offense got going a little bit. It was Ben's best game of the year. And so it was great to see them roll an AFC North opponent. So typical Steelers game, their defense was good and then ramped the pressure up and took them out. So the Steelers continue what they did with their turnovers. Now they're second in the league in turnover margin. So obviously that's a great indication of how well a team is playing on both sides of the ball's turnover margin. So again, they're fifth in scoring offense, although their stats aren't great. Their defense gives them the ball in such great field position, which you pointed out. And so nonetheless, so I got a couple thoughts at the end here. They play at the Jaguars, then they come home for the Ravens rematch Thanksgiving night. That'll be a great game. And then they play Washington after that. Mm-hmm. So if you look at the rest of their schedule, other than the Ravens and the Bills, everyone other their opponents is either below 500 or they've already beaten them bad, like the Browns. So they're not going to go undefeated. I don't have visions of that, but they show up to play. And my final thought on the Steelers is last year the team was 8-8. There's really only one difference this year, and that's Ben.
Yeah.
So you got to start putting him in the MVP conversation. Not because he's blowing everybody away with stats, even though we had a great statistical game Sunday, but how can you not be valuable when your team last year couldn't win a game at the end without him, and now they're undefeated. So at some point, people got to stop saying Russell Wilson, who I'll get to later in my discussion. Maybe all of a sudden now Russell Wilson's kind of dropped off a little bit the last couple weeks. And now all of a sudden you got to put another quarterback in there. I think that's Ben Roethlisberger. So anyway, enough of my Steelers. We'll talk about them next week again.
No, we're going to throw something in. I got to throw something in for your Steelers. This isn't a takeaway from me, but you want to throw Ben in there, and I do agree. Quarterback, most important position on the field. But dang it, your best player is TJ Watt, and he deserves to be in the MVP discussion overall. It is such a quarterback's award, and that's why he said, if anyone's going to be in there, it's going to be Ben because it's a quarterback's award. But TJ Watt deserves to be in there. He's top 5 of the league in sacks, and he has the least amount of pass rush reps out of those guys in the top 5. If he gets the same amount that even maybe an Aaron Donald does, could be in there. He's a true outside linebacker, and I just think he's phenomenal. I think he deserves to be in the MVP discussion.
That'd be fun to see a defensive player actually be in the discussion again, but he's just going to have to work his ass off just to win the Defensive Player of the Year, much less the MVP. So we'll see about that. So, okay, number 2, what do you got?
The Colts are a team you don't want to see in January. Coming off a nice win versus the Tennessee Titans, 34-17. They originally trailed coming out of the half, 13-17, and they went on a 21-0 run to take a huge lead. And the defense, they gave up some points and some yards early, but that Colts defense is special. I might be playing like the best in the NFL right now. Biggest reason for that is a guy who should be not the MVP, but Defensive Player of the Year discussion is DeForest Buckner. He's an absolute monster in the middle of that defense, eats everything up. It was a home run, slam dunk trade for them. Also really like Darius Leonard is a really good inside linebacker for them. So defense, spectacular. And on offense, Rivers, 300 yards passing, getting the receivers back healthy, Michael Pittman, T.Y. Hilton, and then you get Nyheim Hines as well, who had 175 total yards in the game. So I thought the Colts are playing really well right now. They're a very dangerous football team and coming off a nice Thursday night win versus the Tennessee Titans.
Big win. The crazy thing with the Colts is 2 weeks from now we'll know, right? Mm-hmm. They play the Packers next, and then a rematch with the Titans the next 2 weeks. So if the Colts win those next two, all of a sudden, yeah, they're looking at getting a bye. Well, maybe I guess only number one gets a bye, right? So they're at least looking at home games for the playoffs. So we'll see about that. I'm going to stay in the AFC and talk about the Baltimore Ravens. I've talked about them before because they're a mystery to me a little bit. Mm-hmm. Now they're 6-3, not a very good loss to the Patriots last night. But weather was bad. Mm-hmm. They've got lots of injuries, as we've talked about before. The Ravens do lots of injuries to some key people. Lamar has just got to be better. You know, they're relying on him to do a lot, but he's got to be able to just consistently throw the ball. They play the Titans and the Steelers next. So they've got two tough games coming up. Titans at home, then at the Steelers coming up for the Ravens. Right now, they're fighting with the Browns for a playoff spot.
It's crazy.
It's amazing to think that with last year's MVP, right? But they could lose their next two games, and all of a sudden they could be looking up at the Browns. So I'm just kind of a little surprised. I know injuries matter, but it's a quarterback's league. And if your quarterback's not consistently throwing the ball, you're going to struggle. And that's what I see out of Baltimore.
Mm-hmm. I think the biggest reason for their regression, and I talked about it a little bit last week, is that offensive line. They took a step back. Lamar took a step back. The receivers just didn't get any better. So offense took a step back. Still really like that defense. But like you said, Lamar and the rest of that offense need to step up.
Yeah. Okay. All right. What do you got next?
How about the Cardinals? What a win for them. 32-30 walk-off touchdown over the Buffalo Bills. Each team turned the ball over twice throughout the game. Josh Allen had two really costly turnovers late, back and forth all game long. Allen looks like he wins it for his team. Leads him on a long drive, throws the pass, Diggs makes a diving catch. You think touchdown. Oh, the Bills are going to win this game now with only, I believe, 34 seconds left. That's all the Cardinals had to try to drive down the field. 3 completions later, they're over midfield. There's about 11 seconds left in the game. Murray catches the snap, rolls out to the left, throws an unbelievable Hail Mary in his little body, all the might he could muster to get that ball out there. And you see 3 guys right there, and DeAndre Hopkins. The Bills everywhere. Bills, whether that's the Bills in Buffalo or Bill O'Brien, he's the bane of their existence, makes an unbelievable game-winning catch.
Jumpman gloves.
Jumpman gloves, perfect image, iconic image. He's unbelievable. And it's just an unbelievable win for the Cardinals. A gutsy home win against a really good Buffalo team. Kyler continues to get it done. They rushed for over 200 yards, which was really encouraging. Their front seven's not the best, but that secondary led by Patrick Peterson and Budda Baker is playing elite big-time football. So unbelievable play, unbelievable win. And it's going to be fun to watch Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins, not just for this season, but for a long time to come.
Yeah, no, they're excellent in that, which is a great segue. I'm going to talk about their Thursday night opponent, the Seahawks. So how about that for a Thursday night matchup? So, again, we're talking about 6-3 football teams, right? The Rams, the Seahawks, and Cardinals, all in the same division. They all have to play each other at least once, if not, Cardinals still have to play the Rams twice this year. So, just going to be crazy finish. Again, Seahawks just had a tough loss to the Rams, right? Wilson had 3 turnovers. That's uncharacteristic of him. 2 interceptions and a fumble. Defense has been the problem in the weeks. This week, the offense struggled. They put a lot of pressure on Wilson. The Bills did in their win, and so it was disappointing to see the Seahawks look the way they did in a game that should be winnable for them. Now, here's what was crazy. I thought about Ramsey. I'm sorry, it was the Rams, not the Bills.
Yeah,
Ramsey shut down DK. Now I know Ramsey's good. But if I saw them without pads on standing next to each other, I still think DK could catch 6 out of 10 balls with him. Mm-hmm. So I didn't see a whole lot of the game. I saw a few of the highlights of him providing good coverage. What I'd be interested to know is did Wilson just automatically look away from him, or was there other stuff open? Because I still think man to man, you got to give him 6, 8, 9 opportunities a game to make a play, and it doesn't have to be a 70-yard throw either. It could be short little stuff just to get him the ball and get him the ball in space. He's just that good. So we'll see what happens. You know, they play the Cards, the Eagles, and the Giants next. The Seahawks do. Winnable games. It's going to be a tough game Thursday night. But then with the Eagles and Giants, we know what the NFC East is about. So they have a chance to get some wins going. But I don't know. What do you think of Seattle?
Well, I'll talk about Seattle a little bit. And it kind of segues because I want to talk about the Rams too, but I'll start with Seattle here. Russ was not very good. Made some bad mistakes. You get the play, one of the plays to end the half. He could have rushed for a first down, throws across his body, thinks he has Olsen open. Nice pick there by Rams cornerback right there. So it's just they really struggle to run the ball, struggle to protect Russell. Defense has been bad all year long. They can't cover. They've even been struggling. They were all right against the run this game. Adams is still struggling, battling injuries. So it's interesting what's going to happen with Seattle. The offense will turn around, I think, particularly Russell, DK, and Lockett. The rest of the team, the defense especially, I don't know. So
Not good. Okay, what do you got next?
So I do want to talk about the Rams. I thought they were really impressive, their 23-16 win. And what was so impressive is that defense. You know, they fired Wade Phillips, and I forgot that I should have wrote it down, the name of their new defensive coordinator, but he stepped in and done an unbelievable job in there. Holding this explosive offense to 16 is extremely impressive. And that starts with Jalen Ramsey's performance, I thought. He's starting to get back into that Jacksonville form of elite lockdown corner. DK Metcalf was only targeted on twice when Ramsey was locked on. He did rotate a little bit, but he's really shutting anyone he goes on to. Shuts him down. The rest of that secondary is playing well. Leonard Floyd has had a really nice season for them, and we know what Aaron Donald is, so defensively playing well. And then Jared Goff, it's very matchup dependent. They ran the ball all right. They get to 100 yards. Goff had 300 yards passing, hit some of the guys open, so McVay did a good job helping him out there. But Rams are a very matchup dependent team. I feel like they need a good matchup. They were able to run the ball and get the play action and stuff going against Seattle, and they were able to put up some points. And the defense is what's going to carry the Rams, though. I think that defense is really good. And the Rams on offense is just an interesting team, but they're still 6-3, so you give them credit for that.
Yeah. When you have Donald and Ramsey, you're going to be good, right? You got two of the best players in the league right there. So that's pretty impressive. If Goff can play consistently, then I think they're the best team in the division. But we'll see. Yeah. So last week I asked a question about who the best team in the NFC was. And we went back and forth on a few different things. I'd say right now it's the Buccaneers again. So I'm going to go with them, even though we just saw in the playoff seeding they'd be fifth. In the playoff seeds, the Packers would be number one. Wasn't impressed with the Packers on Sunday. And so I think the Buccaneers, they came to play. They're on the road at the Panthers. Panthers aren't great, but, I think they can just score points in bunches, and their defense is good enough to stop people. So I think that's why I still think they're the best team. Brady had 3 TDs passing and ran for one. Hint, Roethlisberger.
Sneak for one, yeah.
How about Ben runs for one this year, too? How about Ronald Jones? 192 yards, had the long touchdown run.
Unbelievable.
So the defense is good. The Buccaneers got it tough, though. They play the Rams next and then the Chiefs. So, could that be a Super Bowl preview? Buccaneers-Chiefs in 2 weeks? Could be. So we'll see. But, again, he's got his magic going. Maybe he's getting a little more comfortable there. 2 weeks from tonight when we do this, after they play the Rams and the Chiefs, I might have somebody else as number one in the NFC. Who knows? So.
Yeah, that's what's hard with them. And I thought Brady did a great job just getting everyone involved. Got so many weapons. Cameron Brate, Gronk, those 3 outstanding receivers, and did such a good job of getting them all involved and included in the offense.
Yeah, but helps. Got weapons. All right, your last one, JT. Where are you going last?
From the best to the worst, the NFC least continues to impress with how awful it is. But I'm going to focus on who's playing like the best team in that division right now. It's the Giants. Been really impressed by
That's amazing.
It's amazing. I've been really impressed by Joe Judge's team though, and the last few weeks. The last 3 weeks they have 2 wins, and the week in a few weeks back even they had a loss, but it was a 3-point loss to the Buccaneers, which at the time were like, what's wrong with Tampa? But it's actually the Giants are starting to round into form a little bit. Biggest key to their success is that unbelievable defensive line. When you talk about them led by Leonard Williams, he's a phenomenal there. They are massive up front. James Bradbury's having a Pro Bowl season there. Blake Martinez, inside linebacker. So they're playing solid on the back end. Offensively, Daniel Jones. It's up and it's down. But they got some receivers, and that's where the big success for them is. When you talk about Sterling Shepard, Golden Tate, Darius Slayton, and a couple of other guys even in there. They just make a couple big-time catches a game to move the chains, get him in good field goal position. And yes, Jones is going to turn it over, do some wacky things, but he can make some nice throws too. So because of that really good defense and those receivers, and then whatever Jones will give you, I think they're the best team in the division. I don't know if they're going to win it. They'll still have a chance to, but I've been really impressed by Joe Judge and the job they've done as the season's gone on, rounding this team into shape.
Those are the nicest words anybody's ever said about a 3-7 football team right there. A 3-7 football team. You're talking about all the positive things they have going on, and it's awful. So that segues a little bit into my last point, which is the NFL has to change the way they seed playoffs. This will be a prime example of that. I don't know what the record's going to be of the team that ends up winning the NFC East, but I'm going to say it's like 6-10. I'm going to say this. So because they got to play each other. So you look at some of their schedules here, and of course I look at this. I don't see how the Giants win 3 of the remaining games, maybe 2. Mm-hmm. But they do play the Cowboys again. They play the Bengals next weekend. They could win that game. Anyway, my point is we can't have a 10-6 football team playing at a 6-10 football team in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. I think that's wrong. I think there should be a rule that you have to finish 500 to host a playoff game, unless there's not enough teams that finished above 500. So, which means that a 7-9 team that wins the division can't host a playoff game. I just don't think that's right. If that means that year you got to reseed the playoffs and go straight record, forget divisions, I say do it. I think it's a travesty that somebody could win 10. Somebody could win 11 games and be playing at the Giants, Eagles. I won't say the Cowboys. They're not going to win. But anyway, maybe Washington football team. I don't know.
They could.
But somebody's going to host a playoff game out of that dumpster fire, and it's wrong. Time for the NFL to change. What do you think?
I really like that idea because, I was just thinking about it yesterday, how unpredictable this division is. And as I kind of sat back and looked at the Giants, I came away with, they're not bad right now, but they were so bad to start the year. They don't deserve to make the playoffs. And same for the rest of these teams. The Washington football team, roller coaster. Cowboys, awful. Eagles, they get all their guys back healthy and they put that performance out there. I don't know. They don't deserve to host a playoff team. You're completely right, and it is crazy. Oh, by the way, Dave Gettleman, he said he's heard from other people around the league, like GMs and other coaches, have told him that they're the best 3-7 team that they've ever seen. So trying to pamper and save his job a little bit, which he's probably not going to be able to do.
You got to love that. So anyway, Week 10 gave us a lot, as you could tell.
Yeah.
A lot to talk about. Happy for your Vikings to get the big win.
Very happy.
Steelers keep rolling.
It's going to be a great week in Minnesota sports because we have the NBA draft finally is here as well. So I'm fingers crossed for Anthony Edwards. Also hope you guys will tune in with us on Thursday morning. We'll release our video reacting to the NBA draft.
Yeah, we look forward to that. So, good. Well, thanks for joining us on another edition of From the Couch. We'll see you next time.